There's a reason you're here, listening to these words right now. Maybe you think it's just curiosity that brought you here, but the truth is, this message found you. Nothing happens by accident when the soul is ready to remember. For a while now, something deep within you has been searching, waiting for a sign. And when your inner frequency rises, the universe always responds. Not through coincidence, but through perfect synchronicities. Moments that feel random, yet were written into the invisible fabric of quantum time. Most people call it luck. They think opportunities just appear. But the truth is far greater. There's a silent intelligence behind every event, guiding you to the exact place you're meant to be. And if you're here, it's because your consciousness is beginning to wake up to that truth. When your soul vibrates in harmony with its purpose, the right information comes with ease. The words, the teachers, the signs, they all start to align. So don't ignore this moment. This isn't just another video. It's a calling, an invitation to raise your frequency, to expand your perception, and to remember that you are part of the field that creates everything. Every time you choose to truly listen, you connect deeper with the energy that moves the entire universe. And when you share this message, you do something even more powerful. You awaken other souls who are also waiting for this frequency. This audiobook isn't just knowledge, it's a portal of consciousness. Listen not with your mind, but with your heart, because every word carries a vibration, and that vibration can completely reprogram the way you see your reality. Get ready, because nothing you're about to hear is random. The universe brought you here for a reason. Chapter 1. The Synchronicity of Quantum Awakening. From the moment we're born, we're taught that success comes from constant effort, that dreams are achieved through struggle and sacrifice. We're told to move step by step, from point A to point B, as if life were a straight line and reality only responds to hard work. But deep inside, you've always known that's not the whole truth. Quantum physics and the great sages of consciousness reveal something completely different. Reality doesn't unfold in a straight line. Particles don't travel from one point to another on a fixed path. They exist in many places at once, in a state of infinite possibilities. Only when observed do they collapse into a single reality. What if your life worked the same way? What if your destiny already exists, waiting for your consciousness to choose it? Your progress, your achievements, your transformation. They aren't in some distant future. They exist right now, as frequencies available in the quantum field. Every version of you, the one that doubts, the one that has already healed, the one that has already succeeded, is alive in this very moment. It's not about trying harder. It's about vibrating in alignment with the reality where your desire has already come true. Imagine everything you want is already done, just waiting for your attention to recognize it. That attention is the key that activates the right possibility in the field. Every time you listen to a message like this, it's no accident. It's the universe responding to your current frequency. You are being called into a new synchronization. The universe doesn't operate on chance. It operates on resonance. When your consciousness shifts, you begin attracting exactly what you need for the next step. The right books, the precise conversations, encounters that feel almost magical. All of it is the language of the quantum field, speaking to you in real time. Maybe this audiobook found you as part of that process. You're not listening out of curiosity. You're listening because your soul called it forth, because a higher part of you knew it was time to remember. Allow yourself to open your mind to this possibility. Nothing in your life is accidental. Every word, every person, every sign is orchestrated by an invisible intelligence that responds to your level of awareness. By paying attention, you activate your role as a quantum observer. And in that simple act, listening, feeling, being present, you start reshaping your reality. Attention is creative power. Where you place it, existence blooms. You are not a passive spectator of life. You are the one choosing, every moment, which version of the universe becomes real. So as you hear these words, let your consciousness expand. Feel yourself connecting to the field of all possibilities. Breathe and recognize. This moment is no coincidence. It is synchronicity. The universe is not testing you. It's guiding you. Everything you need for your next level is already in front of you, waiting. Open your mind. Quiet the noise. Allow this frequency to reorder you from within. This is the beginning of a journey into the deepest understanding of who you are. The observer who chooses the reality they wish to experience. Chapter 2. When the field begins to speak. At some point in your awakening, you realize something that changes everything. Consciousness doesn't just receive information, it creates it. This discovery completely transforms the way you pursue your goals. Because once you understand quantum timing, you stop chasing results. And the results start chasing you. You stop forcing the path. You stop asking with anxiety. And you start to notice that things flow when you flow. Dreams no longer seem impossible. Not because you're searching for them, but because you're remembering them. And then something magical happens. The universe starts moving with you. People, ideas, opportunities appear exactly at the right moment. Not because the world has changed, but because you've changed the frequency from which you observe it. The truth is, your progress doesn't require effort. The quantum field is already arranging reality so that your growth happens naturally. Every person you meet, every thought you repeat, every event, even the chaotic ones, is part of an infinitely intelligent plan designed for your expansion. But there's a condition. You need to learn to read the signs. Yes, the universe is speaking to you, but its language is not words. It speaks through energy, patterns, and vibrations. Things you can only understand when you train your consciousness to feel. And this is where quantum resonance comes in, the most powerful signal of all. Quantum resonance is that instant when something inside you awakens. A phrase hits you, a repeated number appears, a person crosses your path as if they've known you in another life. It's that moment of synchronicity that shakes you with a sense of, I've known this all along. It's not coincidence. It's the field confirming that you're exactly where you need to be. If this audiobook found you, it was no accident. It's a response, a conversation between your consciousness and the intelligence of the universe. And this encounter is not entertainment. It's sacred. Stop for a moment. Breathe deeply. Feel how something inside you expands as you hear these words. You are no longer just receiving information. You are receiving energy. You are activating a new level of perception. The field responds to your openness. When you stop observing from the mind and begin receiving from the soul, everything changes. At this stage, you start noticing the 3 quantum signatures that appear just before your major expansion. The first is the magnetism of information. You begin receiving exactly what you need, even when you're not looking for it. The book you needed appears. The exact video shows up on your screen. A casual conversation gives you the answer you've been seeking for weeks. None of this is chance. It's the vibration of your consciousness attracting the information that matches your new frequency. The field is telling you, you are ready. The second quantum signature is pattern recognition. You start to see how everything is connected. That dream you had, the phrase you read, the person you just met. They are not isolated events. They are pieces of the same puzzle. Reality becomes symbolic. Every detail carries a hidden message. You begin living in a state of conscious attention where the entire universe becomes a mirror of your inner evolution. This coherence reflects your own internal order expanding outward. The third quantum signature is embodied knowing. Before the change appears in the physical world, you can already feel it inside. Your body knows. You wake with a sense of certainty, as if something big is about to happen. You feel different, even if you can't explain why. This feeling is not an illusion. It is your consciousness entering the vibrational state of the new reality you are about to manifest. Your body becomes an instrument of consciousness. It's the bridge between the invisible and the visible. That's why, when the body feels it, the field has already created it. The universe vibrates first, and then manifests. If you are experiencing any of these three signatures, if this message stirred something within you, if a part of you recognized its truth, the field is already at work in you. This is not just a moment. It is preparation. The universe has been guiding you here to remind you that everything happening has a higher purpose. You are not a spectator of life. You are the point of creation from which life organizes itself. So observe everything with fresh eyes. Notice what repeats, what vibrates differently, what expands you. The universe is speaking to you through reality. And every time you respond consciously, every time you say, "I understand, I see, I feel," the field answers with more signs, more clarity, more miracles. Everything happening now is a sacred conversation between your mind and the all. And if you've made it this far, it's because you are ready to listen. Chapter 3: The Art of Integrating Frequency. Seeing other souls go through experiences similar to yours is not a coincidence. It's one of the clearest ways the quantum field shows you that you are not alone on your path of expansion. The synchronicities that connect you with stories, messages, or people reflecting your own journey are not random. They are part of the invisible planning happening behind the scenes. Everything is part of a greater design, an energetic choreography where each step is calculated to guide you to your next level of consciousness. Yet this is where most people stop. They see the signs, feel the resonance, recognize the patterns, and still let it pass. They scroll past, ignoring the call, not because they don't believe, but because they don't grasp the magnitude of what's happening. They treat the sacred as ordinary, and in that unconscious gesture, the miracle dissolves among distractions. Don't do that. Not now. Not when you're so close. When the quantum field sends information aligned with the frequency of your discovery, it's not there to entertain you. It's there to transform you. It's a call to integrate, not just understand. Integration means letting what you hear or read become a living part of your consciousness. It flows through your thoughts, your emotions, your body, until every cell vibrates with this new frequency. And integration happens when you decide to do something with what you know, when you stop being a spectator and become a conscious participant in the quantum process. Every intentional action, no matter how small, signals alignment. It's the moment you say yes to the call of the field. Pause. Breathe. I want you to feel this question beyond words. What profound change have you been trying to manifest in your life? Which part of yourself feels ready to move forward, but hasn't yet? Breathe again. Feel the frequency of that desire moving within you. That feeling is living energy. It's the exact frequency that brought you here. Nothing you're hearing is accidental. The quantum field has been preparing you. It has sent you information, shown you signs, allowed you to feel resonance. Now the preparation is complete. The next step depends on you. And that step is not mental, it is energetic. True advancement requires coherence. Coherence between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. When your mind says one thing, but your heart vibrates in another direction, the field receives mixed signals. It's like trying to tune a radio while constantly changing the frequency. The signal gets lost. Most people live in that state of incoherence. One part of them wants to move forward, but another fears. One part believes in their vision, but another doubts. One part acts, but another sabotages. And while those inner voices remain in conflict, the field cannot organize a new reality. That's why true power lies in unifying yourself, in aligning your entire being in one direction. When your thoughts, feelings, and actions harmonize perfectly with the frequency of your growth, the universe responds. Reality begins to reconfigure itself to support that coherence. This is what the ancients called the moment of manifestation, the instant when soul, mind, and body become a single vibration. Repeat mentally or aloud, "My entire being is aligned." Feel the weight of those words. Imagine that with every breath, your thoughts sync with your emotions, and your emotions sync with your actions. Visualize your energy field expanding, enveloping your life in a golden light of coherence. This is how miracles are born, not by forcing, but by unifying. Coherence is not a one-time achievement. It is a constant choice. Every thought you sustain, every emotion you allow, every decision you make, all of it is an opportunity to reaffirm your alignment. You can choose coherence right now, in this very moment. This information is not meant to float in your mind. It wants to descend into your body, your breath, your energy. So I invite you to do more than just hear it. If you are listening, say, even silently within yourself, the words, "I am ready to receive my revelation." Do not do it out of habit. Do it with presence. Every time you speak these words, you send a signal to the quantum field. A signal that says, "I have received the message." A signal that affirms, "I am available for my next frequency." Feel the difference between saying it mechanically and saying it with intention. The field responds to the quality of your attention, not the quantity of your desires. Each time you choose to pause, breathe, and affirm your alignment, the universe reorganizes its invisible threads to reflect that decision. You are not simply listening to an audiobook. You are participating in a conversation with the intelligence that governs the cosmos. You are receiving subtle instructions, calibrating your frequency, and remembering how to create from the correct state. The field hears you. It always has. Now it's waiting for you to respond consciously, to turn what you've learned into action, to allow information to transform into living energy within you. Change has already begun. The rest depends on how much coherence you can sustain. Because when your entire being vibrates in unison, the universe has no choice but to respond. Chapter 4. Tune into your quantum future. The energy you emit is the frequency that defines your reality. Every thought, every emotion, every intention sends a signal to the quantum field, and the field, like a cosmic mirror, reflects back exactly what you vibrate. This is not magic. It's applied physics of consciousness. Everything that exists vibrates. And you, as a self-aware consciousness, are a node within this vast energetic network. Your life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. The quantum field doesn't interpret your words. It interprets your internal states. You can repeat affirmations all day long, but if your frequency is anchored in lack, the field will continue to manifest realities that match that vibration. True change begins when you decide to embody a new energy. When you say with your whole being, "I am ready," the universe hears beyond the sound. It feels the intention. It perceives the coherence between your thoughts, emotions, and body. That coherence is the language the field understands. Consider this. The version of you who has already achieved what you desire is not in the future. It exists in a different dimension of possibility. It exists now, vibrating at a frequency you can reach. Quantum leaps don't happen when time moves forward. They happen when your consciousness expands to align with that version of yourself. This is true alignment. Understanding it mentally is not enough. Knowledge only becomes power when you live it, when it becomes flesh, breath, and emotion. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale deeply. Feel the air connecting you to the whole. Your breath does not end in your lungs. It's the same flow that moves through galaxies, oceans, and suns. Now imagine your consciousness expanding beyond your body, beyond the limits of time and space. Feel yourself entering an ocean of infinite possibilities. There, among millions of potentials, is a version of you who has already achieved what you are seeking today. Observe how they move, how they smile, what energy they radiate. Don't try to imagine the details. Feel the frequency. This subtle vibration is the key, because the field does not respond to your words, it responds to your vibration. When you sustain that vibration, the entire universe begins to reorganize to reflect it. People, opportunities, ideas, synchronicities. Everything starts moving like pieces of an invisible mechanism. Change does not come from outside. Change arises from within. Look at the outer world as an echo of what you hold inside. If you change the melody of your being, the echo will inevitably change as well. Your breakthrough, your quantum leap, will not happen because something external changes first. It happens when you become the frequency of the result you desire, when you stop waiting for the miracle and become the miracle. Consider this. The self that seeks vibrates at a different frequency than the self that has already found. As long as you perceive yourself as the seeker, you will continue generating more seeking. But when you start feeling like the one who has already found, the field responds with manifestations that confirm that inner truth. Tuning into your quantum future does not require effort. It requires presence. You don't need to force change. You only need to allow it. The mind wants control, but consciousness only needs to remember. Remember who you are beyond fear, beyond scarcity, beyond doubt. This remembrance activates a very specific vibration, the frequency of the whole self. And when you vibrate from completeness, life responds with completeness. Pause for a moment and feel your body. Every cell is listening to your thoughts. Your DNA is malleable. It responds to your emotions. When you tune into joy, gratitude, and certainty that all is well, your cells begin to emit a new signal. That signal travels to the quantum field, and the field, obedient, reflects the new reality. You don't need to see the result to know it works. Your task is not to force manifestation. Your task is to maintain the frequency of the desired outcome. The field doesn't respond to time. It responds to vibration. When you vibrate as the self who has already achieved the goal, time bends to meet you. The universe reconfigures quietly. No explosions, no fireworks, just a gentle alignment where everything begins to fit. The right encounters, intuitive decisions, the internal knowing that it is already done. This is tuning into your quantum future. And the field, obedient, reflects the new reality. You don't need to see the result to know it works. Your task is not to force manifestation. Your task is to maintain the frequency of the desired outcome. The field doesn't respond to time. It responds to vibration. When you vibrate as the self who has already achieved the goal, time bends to meet you. The universe reconfigures quietly. No explosions, no fireworks, just a gentle alignment where everything begins to fit. The right encounters, intuitive decisions, the internal knowing that it is already done. This is tuning into your quantum future. It's not a technique. It's a way of being, a way of inhabiting reality from the certainty that everything already exists. And your only role is to choose, vibrate, and allow. Because deep down, the quantum field is not giving you anything new. It is simply showing you who you have always been, an infinite being, experiencing your own power through the play of consciousness. Chapter 5. The frequency of the new you. Your body is learning a new language, the language of the expanding soul. Right now, your nervous system is leaving old survival patterns behind, adapting to a higher way of vibrating. Unconsciously, you are teaching your cells to live from trust, not fear, to respond with openness, not contraction. When you choose to align with possibility, everything inside you begins to reorganize. Your energy starts flowing toward growth, not control. Every thought you hold, every emotion you choose, sends an electrical signal to your cells saying, "We are ready to expand." Take a moment to feel it. Breathe. Notice your chest opening just a little more. That feeling is no coincidence. It's your biology adapting to a new frequency of reality. What once caused doubt now propels you. What once blocked you now dissolves with ease. You are turning the feeling of possibility into your natural state. Not as an inspiring idea, but as a vibrational structure embedded within you. Your system begins to recognize this vibration as its new normal. This process is called energetic anchoring, turning an elevated experience into part of your cellular memory. Every time you act from faith instead of fear, you are imprinting a new quantum trace in your body. When you do this consciously, change accelerates. Even the smallest gestures hold immense power. A deep breath, a grateful thought, a decision made from the heart. These actions, simple as they seem, seal the frequency you've reached. You are signaling to the universe, I am integrating the energy of my advancement. And something extraordinary happens when your body and consciousness vibrate in coherence. The quantum field responds. Your external world begins to mirror the inner order you have achieved. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities multiply. The right people arrive with the exact messages at the perfect moment. Not because you are chasing them, but because you have become magnetically compatible. The universe doesn't need to push you. Being in tune is enough. This is true quantum alignment. The path to your growth doesn't have to be a straight line. In the energetic realm, shortcuts exist. You don't need to go through every obstacle to arrive where you want. You only need to vibrate as if you are already there. When you align your frequency with the reality you desire, that reality begins to approach you. It bends paths, crosses time, and manifests as coincidences impossible to ignore. Many think they need to understand the how first. In the quantum field, the how is irrelevant. The universe handles the forms. You only hold the frequency. Think about this. Every time you maintain a pure intention, you are reconfiguring your biology. Your nervous system, your emotions, your thoughts, all are learning a new choreography, a dance between the invisible and the visible. This process is not about doing more. It's about being more. Less effort, more alignment, less doubt, more coherence, less seeking, more connection. When you reach that point, the universe begins to recognize you as a new transmitter. You stop sending confusing signals of lack or desire. You begin transmitting from the certainty of the self that already has everything. You become a node of power in the field. Energy that once drained you now channels toward your expansion. You no longer wait for life to give you permission. You have become life itself, moving through you. The next step is to remain conscious of the signals. When your field starts moving, the universe speaks in subtle ways. A repeated number, an unexpected message, a sudden sense of calm for no apparent reason. These are clues that reality is reorganizing in your favor. If you stay aware, you will notice how everything adjusts to your new vibration. What once seemed blocked now flows. What once lagged now accelerates. What once hurt now dissolves into understanding. Remember this. You don't need to understand every step to know you are advancing. Quantum alignment is not thought, it is felt. When you feel expansion within, stay there. That expansion signals you are on the right frequency. And if you resonate deeply with all of this, it's because your consciousness is ready to move beyond information, toward embodying the energy itself. This is the beginning of true quantum mastery. Stop learning about frequencies and become the frequency itself. Stop being a student of energy. Become its expression. You no longer transmit from fear. You transmit from the truth of who you are. This is the point where manifestation stops being a desire and becomes a natural consequence. This is how miracles are born, not because you call them, but because you are already vibrating in the place where they occur. Chapter 6. The Whispers of Quantum. Change. Not every awakening begins with lightning strikes or dramatic revelations. Sometimes the universe speaks softly, so subtly that only those who have learned to listen can perceive it. Most people overlook these moments because they expect something spectacular, a visible announcement of change. But the quantum field rarely shouts. Its transformations speak in a quieter language, small synchronicities, renewed feelings, and inner calm. I call these the whispers of quantum change. Tiny shifts in your energy that signal the beginning of something profound. They don't arrive with fanfare. They come as a barely perceptible sense that something within you has realigned. Maybe you wake up one day feeling inexplicably lighter. Perhaps something that used to hurt no longer does, and you don't even notice when it changed. These are the first signs that your consciousness has jumped, even if your mind hasn't caught up yet. Imagine a quantum particle changing its state. It doesn't announce its transformation. It simply stops being one possibility and becomes another. The shift is instantaneous, but the effects ripple outward slowly, revealing themselves as the observer notices. That's how it is with you. When your consciousness aligns with a higher frequency, the collapse of possibilities happens instantly in the field, but the external reflections take a little longer to appear. The delay between what you feel and what you see isn't a lag. It's adjustment. The universe doesn't measure you by what you achieve. It measures you by what you embody. And true advancement, the quantum leap, doesn't happen in the world you can touch. It happens in the world you choose to inhabit with your energy. If you wait to see a change before feeling it, you're looking in the wrong place. Everything begins within. First, you are the frequency, and only then comes the form. That's why when you start noticing subtle shifts in your mood, your breathing, your perspective on life, don't ignore them. They are messages from the field saying, it's already happening. The progress you asked for isn't coming. It has already begun. It feels like sudden clarity, confidence where there was doubt, intuition you can't trace, but know is true. These are soft yet firm indicators that your reality is reshaping to support a new version of you. The most common mistake is confusing silence with stagnation. Many think, if I don't see changes outside, maybe nothing is happening. But quantum silence is the sacred space between two realities. It's the interval where the field organizes new energy patterns that will soon become physical experiences. When you learn to honor this silence, the process accelerates. It's as if the universe needs your patience as fuel to complete the leap. Remember this: manifestation doesn't always feel like expansion. Sometimes it feels like stability, like the internal chaos finally calming. That equilibrium is not emptiness. It's fertile ground where your new reality takes root. If you've been waiting for a sign, here it is. Balance, calm, and a sense of presence are the clearest proof that you're vibrating higher. So instead of seeking external confirmation, start noticing micro shifts within. Are you reacting differently to things that used to upset you? Do certain thoughts no longer have power over you? Are you surrounded by people who reflect your new energy? These are the authentic markers of quantum progress. They are so natural you might overlook them, but that naturalness is their greatest truth. Spiritual expansion doesn't break into your life. It integrates quietly. As you continue on this path, you'll learn to listen to the field with a finer ear. You'll realize that the universe rarely uses drama. It prefers precision. Every sensation, every recurring thought, every seemingly random encounter is part of an ongoing energetic conversation between you and the intelligence orchestrating everything. Nothing repeats without reason. What keeps returning to your attention, what resonates persistently, is the field asking you for integration, not just observation. When you feel those subtle movements, lighter emotions, spontaneous understanding, new gratitude without reason, don't dismiss them as coincidences. They are the first rays of a reality already blossoming. And if you can maintain that vibration intentionally, if you continue to observe with faith rather than anxiety, the field will have no choice but to show it to you through tangible results. because the universe always adapts to the observer who knows how to see beyond the visible. Take a moment now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Reflect on all the silent changes you've felt recently. Maybe you didn't know how to name them until now, but those were the whispers of your next level. Acknowledge them. Appreciate them. Recognize them as the purest evidence that you're in alignment with expansion. The field doesn't shout. It guides gently. Listen, because what follows a quantum whisper is always a tangible manifestation. And when it arrives, you'll know it wasn't chance, magic, or luck. It was alignment. It was consciousness. It was your choice to listen. Chapter 7. The 5 Quantum Frequency Shifts. Signals of your great leap. There are moments when you sense something invisible happening within you. You can't explain it, yet you feel a shift on a level beyond the mind. That subtle movement is a reconfiguration of your frequency. When a quantum transformation approaches, the universe doesn't shout, it whispers. These whispers appear as shifts in your vibration, subtle changes in how you experience reality. They may not always be visible, but their energy is unmistakable. Here are the 5 quantum frequency shifts that signal you are crossing the threshold to your next level of consciousness. 1. Reality becomes fluid. The first shift happens when the world stops feeling so solid. The things you once considered fixed, limits, obstacles, labels, begin to dissolve. Suddenly, what seemed impossible now feels attainable. The boundaries defining what you can or cannot do lose their grip. Your perception changes. Reality is no longer a wall, but a flowing current. Everything feels malleable, as if existence responds to your attention. This isn't an illusion. It's your consciousness expanding beyond linear thought. You start to understand that what you called the world is simply a dynamic reflection of your inner state. When you align with this understanding, you enter the field of infinite possibilities. You're no longer a piece moved by life. You are the current that moves it. 2. Synchronicity accelerates. The second shift appears when the universe begins responding with precision that cannot be coincidence. Synchronicities multiply. You think of someone, and they appear. You desire something, and an opportunity shows up from nowhere. The signs become so clear you can't ignore them. These aren't coincidences. They're the quantum reflection of your new vibration. You've tuned into a field of intelligence that organizes reality with perfect accuracy. Everything aligns seamlessly with you. When you notice this pattern, something shifts inside. You no longer feel alone. You realize the universe isn't outside of you. It is within, quietly collaborating with every intention you emit. Synchronicities are how infinite consciousness says, yes, you are on the right path. Third intuition amplifies. The third shift takes place in the deep mind. Suddenly you know things that were once uncertain. Your intuition awakens like a cosmic radar, picking up information beyond logic. You start to sense where to go, what to say, who to connect with. This isn't an external voice. It's the resonance of your consciousness with the quantum field. When your energy is aligned, information arrives instantly, without analysis. It's as if a higher version of you gently guides your steps with clarity and confidence. Intuition doesn't replace reason, it transcends it. It's the intelligence of the whole expressing itself through you. Listening is trusting that the universe communicates silently, and that you are part of that conversation. Fourth shift occurs when you stop struggling with yourself. There is no longer conflict between what you feel, think, and do. Fragmented parts of your being begin to integrate, creating a state of inner calm and completeness. Emotional coherence doesn't mean perfection. It means your energy is no longer divided. Your mind stops sending contradictory signals to the quantum field. Instead, it vibrates in a unified, clear, and powerful way. When you achieve this coherence, the universe responds quickly. The quantum field doesn't react to what you say you want. It responds to the vibration you actually hold. When that vibration is harmonious, the field reorganizes to reflect it effortlessly. This inner peace is a clear sign that your advancement is already underway. It's the quiet before the miracle. Fifth, effortless action. The fifth shift is the most tangible. Action stops feeling like what once required willpower now flows naturally. You act not from obligation, but from inspiration. Your actions align with the rhythm of the universe, and the universe clears the path in response. This doesn't mean there's no work, but the work becomes joy. You no longer push reality. You move with it. Every step feels like part of a cosmic dance. Effortless action signals that you've stopped creating from scarcity and have begun manifesting from abundance. You don't force what is already meant to be. You simply accompany the universe as it unfolds the highest version of you. When you experience these 5 shifts, you're not waiting for your leap. You are already inside it. The quantum leap is not an event that comes later. It's a state you are sustaining now. Your consciousness is reprogramming the invisible matrix that supports your world. Everything that follows, people, events, opportunities, is merely the material echo of that inner shift. This is what quantum rebirth feels like: silent, coherent, and profoundly natural. And when you reach this point, you no longer need to chase the future, because the future begins moving toward you. Chapter 8. The flow of quantum. Awakening. When your energy aligns with the frequency of advancement, something extraordinary begins to happen. Life stops feeling like a struggle and starts moving with you. The right steps, the perfect opportunities, and synchronistic moments begin to flow effortlessly, not because you chase them desperately, but because you have become the frequency where they exist. Action stops being effortful. It becomes a dance. You no longer push the river, you flow with it. The universe never asks you to fight against its current. It only asks that you remember how to float. Floating doesn't mean giving up or standing still. It means moving in harmony with the invisible flow of cosmic intelligence. When your mind quiets and your heart opens, this flow guides you so naturally it feels like magic. But it's really quantum precision. Take a moment to breathe deeply. Feel the air enter as a current of new energy. This simple act of awareness is a quantum trigger, a vibrational message you send to your subconscious to release all resistance. Every conscious breath, every moment of presence, is a code signaling to your energy field. I trust the process. People often look for grand signs to know if they are advancing. They wait for dramatic manifestations or sudden change. But quantum flow doesn't arrive with noise. It comes with subtlety. It begins when what once felt heavy becomes light, when what used to upset you no longer does, when answers arrive softly, as if the universe whispers, "Keep going. You're on the right path." Effortless action does not mean passivity. It means acting from clarity, not from lack. It means your steps are born not from fear or urgency, but from alignment between your mind, your heart, and your energy. When you act from coherence, even the smallest gesture carries immense power. A single word, a decision made in alignment, vibrates higher than 1,000 actions driven by doubt. Here, a profound phenomenon occurs. When you share what you've learned, your frequency amplifies. Speaking to someone who is struggling, reaching out from your new consciousness, not only helps them, it strengthens your own field. This act of sharing becomes quantum service. By raising another, you elevate yourself. By teaching, you integrate wisdom more deeply. The universe multiplies the energy you give with pure intention. When multiple shifts happen at once, flow, synchronicity, intuition, coherence, and effortless action, you enter what ancient mystics called a cascade of ascension, an energetic sequence where your entire inner system reconfigures to sustain a higher vibration. Nothing external causes it. It's a natural upgrade of your consciousness. But for this cascade to continue, your participation must be conscious. Nothing happens by accident. Every day, you choose whether to align or resist, whether to stay present or distracted, whether to trust or control. The frequency of your advancement responds directly to the quality of these small choices. It's not the universe doubting you, it's you deciding whether to trust its intelligence. The linear mind fears the void because it cannot predict how things will unfold. It wants a map, a precise outcome, a logical sequence. But the universe doesn't operate on logic, it operates on vibration. That's why the greatest breakthroughs occur when you dare to step into the unknown. The chaos the mind fears is actually a higher order your consciousness has yet to comprehend. When everything feels uncertain, when the ground seems to shift beneath you, it's a sign that the old reality is collapsing to make way for the new. Do not step back. Uncertainty is not a warning, it's an invitation. It's the portal that opens when your frequency is ready to expand beyond the familiar. Many stop just before the leap because they mistake the field's movement for danger. They can't see the path, so they return to control, fear, and rigidity. But quantum alignment isn't achieved through control. It's achieved through trust. When you choose trust, the universe reorganizes the entire board to guide you to the next level of your expansion. So, when you feel something invisible rearranging, do not resist. Stay present. Repeat within, I trust the intelligence that guides me. These words are not mere affirmations. They are energetic commands. They are keys that open doors in the quantum field where your advancement is already manifested. Feel the flow. Watch how life responds. Everything that once seemed uncertain will begin moving with divine precision. Synchronization has nothing to do with chance. It is the language of the universe speaking to a conscious mind. And now, you are listening. Chapter 9. Quantum Faith. When you stop waiting and start being. There comes a moment on this path when you stop asking the universe for signs and instead, you become the sign. That moment marks the true beginning of your quantum mastery. You no longer try to control the when or the how. You don't wait for advancement to arrive. You transform into the frequency of advancement itself. You stop being an observer looking outward and start feeling from within the certainty that everything you seek is already vibrating inside you. This is not blind faith. It is vibrational knowledge. Quantum faith doesn't come from hoping things will turn out well. It comes from a deep understanding that consciousness and reality are the same substance, expressing itself on different levels. When you know this, not by repeating it, but by living it, the entire universe aligns around that certainty. Quantum synchronicity occurs when the mind stops interrupting the intelligence of the field. While reason tries to anticipate the steps, your consciousness is already taking them. Every time you choose trust over control, you release the flow of creative energy. Every time you choose presence over distraction, you are telling the field, I am here. I am ready to create with you. Then reality begins to move, not with explosions, but in subtle flashes. A conversation arrives at exactly the right moment. An idea appears effortlessly. A sense of calm replaces resistance. This is how effortless action manifests. When you no longer swim against the current, you become the current itself. Being an active participant in the quantum field means embracing a powerful truth. You are not a passive spectator in your story. You are its vibrational writer. Every sustained thought, every cultivated emotion, every chosen frequency writes a new line in the script of your experience. Yet this responsibility should not frighten you. It is the greatest freedom you can have. Because if you created chaos, you can also create order. If you once manifested from confusion, now you can manifest from clarity. Many are not ready for this freedom. They prefer to blame circumstances or fate because it absolves them of conscious creation. But you have awakened enough to know that nothing happens to you by accident. Everything responds to your level of vibration. This is not about punishing yourself for the past. It is about recognizing the power you have to choose a different frequency right now. The advancement you long for is not in the future. It lives in you, waiting to be revealed. Your highest self is not a distant goal. It is the most authentic part of you, the part that has always existed beneath fears, doubts, and conditioning. Manifesting is not about adding more to yourself. It's about peeling away the layers that prevented you from shining. When the field begins to reconfigure to reflect your new state of consciousness, it does so quietly. The linear mind seeks loud signals, dramatic changes, tangible proof. But the universe operates in whispers. It is the small adjustments that announce the great transformation. You may start noticing that you no longer react the way you once did to what disturbed you. Your body may feel lighter for no apparent reason. The right people may begin to show up without effort. These signs are easy to overlook because they don't come wrapped in drama. Yet they are the first ripples of your quantum leap spreading through the field. Just as a quantum particle doesn't announce its state collapse, your reality doesn't trumpet its changes. It simply happens. One moment you are vibrating in one version of yourself, and the next, your consciousness has chosen another timeline. The invisible gradually becomes visible, in perfect sync with your level of acceptance. Doubt is the final test before the leap. Many feel the change within, but because they don't yet see it reflected outside, they pull back. They think, nothing is happening, and return to old frequencies of control and effort. But doubt is just the echo of the old self trying to survive. If you remain in the vibration of trust, the new self consolidates, and the external reflection inevitably follows. Quantum synchronicity doesn't depend on time, it depends on your coherence. The field responds to who you are, not to what you say you want. When you embody the frequency of advancement, it is already achieved, even if you don't see it yet. The field is simply adjusting to your new identity. From now on, change how you measure progress. Don't look for visible results. Look for subtle shifts in your inner state. Ask yourself, am I vibrating with more peace than before? Am I acting from inspiration rather than urgency? Am I trusting more and controlling less? If the answers are yes, then you are already in your advancement. Here lies the quantum paradox. The leap doesn't happen when evidence arrives. It happens when you no longer need it. When you trust so fully that the universe has no choice but to respond. And then you understand. Quantum faith is not about waiting for something to change. It is about becoming the change you are waiting for. Chapter 10. The Quantum Cascade. Signs of the Great Leap. There are moments when reality itself begins to feel malleable, almost liquid. What once seemed fixed starts to move gently, as if the structures of the world are dissolving before an awakening consciousness. It is then that life whispers, something is changing within you. This is not an external miracle. It is an internal transformation that the universe begins to reflect. I call this a quantum cascade, a sequence of energetic movements that signal a major spiritual breakthrough. The first sign of this cascade is the fluidity of reality. Suddenly, what once seemed impossible starts to feel possible. The mental walls that confined you become transparent. You begin to sense that limits were never real. They were temporary constructs created by fear and habit. You realize that everything you perceive is a dance of energy shaped by your attention. It is both disorienting and liberating, because your linear mind tries to hold on to solidity while your soul celebrates mutability. You are stepping into the true quantum fabric of the universe, a field of infinite possibilities waiting to be chosen by the frequency of your consciousness. As this understanding settles in, the second change appears, an acceleration of synchronicity. Events begin to align with near magical precision. You think of someone, and they appear. You desire an experience, and circumstances orchestrate exactly what you need. These are no longer coincidences. They are ongoing conversations with the intelligence of the field. Your reality starts responding to your vibrations in real time. Life stops being a collection of random events and reveals itself as a coherent mirror reflecting your inner states. Every synchronicity confirms the new level of connection you have reached. The third change manifests as an amplification of intuition. Your inner guidance becomes clearer, sharper, and luminous. You feel a silent voice pointing the way without complicated reasoning. It is a certainty that comes not from the mind, but from the heart. There are paths you just know are yours, even if you cannot explain why. Intuition becomes the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between the quantum and the human. It is the language through which the field of possibilities whispers the direction of your destiny. At this point, you no longer need proof. You trust your inner knowing because it comes from the same intelligence that moves atoms and galaxies. The fourth frequency shift is called emotional coherence. This is when your inner world stops being divided. Old wounds begin to dissolve, not because you've fixed them, but because you no longer feed them with attention. Peace becomes your natural state. You feel that all the pieces fit, that nothing was ever truly out of place. Your energy becomes stable, clear, and magnetic. The quantum field responds in kind, because it has always mirrored your vibration. When your heart and mind are aligned, reality orders itself. What once seemed chaotic now reveals its perfect design. This is when you discover that you don't need to control anything. You only need to be yourself, whole, undivided, fully present. And then comes the fifth change, effortless action. You no longer move from obligation or fear, but from inspiration. Decisions flow naturally. Doing what is necessary feels light, even pleasurable. It is as if the current of life carries you exactly where you need to be, without resistance. Action ceases to be a means to achieve something and becomes a spontaneous expression of alignment. When you act from this state, the universe collaborates. Everything synchronizes: time, people, resources. Life becomes a choreography between your energy and the intelligence of the cosmos. These 5 shifts rarely amplify and feed one another until they form a quantum cascade. Within that cascade, your consciousness expands, your emotions harmonize, and your actions flow. It is the prelude to a new vibrational reality manifesting effortlessly. But there is one essential truth to remember. This process requires conscious participation. It does not happen by accident. It is born from your decision to choose alignment over resistance, trust over control, presence over distraction. Participating consciously in this cascade also means serving the collective field. When you share your discoveries, when you help someone else elevate their vibration, you strengthen your own connection to these higher frequencies. This is not teaching from ego, it is radiating from being. Every time you share love, clarity, or hope, you send waves through the energetic fabric of humanity. This is what we might call quantum service. And in this service, your own advancement multiplies. Because the quantum cascade doesn't just transform your life, it transforms the field around you. You are a living frequency, a conscious particle of the whole. When you allow yourself to flow, synchronize, and trust, the entire universe reorganizes its rhythm to follow the beat of your vibration. This is the true magic of the Great Leap. It is not something you achieve, it is something you become. Chapter 11. The Observer Loop. When you stop reacting and start creating. Have you ever noticed that moment when everything seems to repeat itself? The same emotions, the same challenges, the same conversations, just wearing different faces. It's as if life moves in invisible circles, pushing you to relive the same patterns. This phenomenon isn't a coincidence. It's what quantum metaphysics calls the observer loop. It happens when your consciousness keeps watching reality from the same vibration, expecting a different result. But the universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to the frequency from which you observe. For a long time, you may have believed you were a passive participant on the stage of existence, unaware that you're actually the one holding the projector that casts the images onto the screen. The movie of your life isn't out there, it projects from you. Every repeated thought, every unreleased emotion, Every judgment you hold acts like a quantum instruction, keeping the loop spinning. Nothing new can manifest while you watch from yesterday's vibration. The quantum field doesn't distinguish between past and present. It responds to the dominant energy you emit now. That's why, when you stay anchored in fear, scarcity, or control, the field repeats the same scenes, giving you another chance to awaken. It isn't punishing you. It's reminding you that you haven't yet changed your observational frequency. The universe is always ready to show you externally what you need to transform internally. The first step to breaking the observer loop is realizing that you're in one. Don't label it as a mistake. Observe it consciously. Give yourself permission to look with compassion at the reflection life offers. Ask yourself, which version of me is observing this? From what vibration am I seeing the world? That single question has the power to halt the loop's inertia and open a crack in unconscious programming. Because when you observe the observation itself, the pattern loses its hold. In that instant, consciousness awakens within the dream. Liberation begins when you choose to observe in a new way, without judgment, without fear, without the need for control. Every time you choose the present over the past, you break a line of the code that maintained repetition. Every time you choose gratitude over resistance, the field rewrites the experience. You don't have to fix your life. You only need to see it from a new state of consciousness, and the universe reorganizes accordingly. The observer loop survives because of identification with the mind. The mind wants certainty, routes, control. But the quantum field does not obey linear logic. It moves with the vibration of the heart, with trust that doesn't need explanation. That's why when you begin to trust energy more than reason, when you choose feeling over thinking, something magical happens. Probabilities realign. Reality starts bending toward the version of you that is already aligned with expansion. This is the true leap, not struggling against what you see, but becoming the observer who chooses to see differently. Let this understanding settle within you. Every scene in your life exists to help you remember who you are. Nothing is against you. Everything is designed by universal intelligence to bring you back to your center. The field does not make mistakes. You haven't strayed. You were simply learning to look. When you realize this, something shifts. You begin to see chaos as order. You understand that life isn't trying to break you, it's trying to awaken you. And in that moment, energy begins to flow without resistance. You've stepped out of the loop. From here, every thought becomes a sacred tool. Every emotion, a message. You no longer react from fear. You choose from consciousness. And in doing so, a new level of the quantum game opens. The level of the conscious creator. Here is the secret. The field responds not to your desire, but to your coherence. When you think abundance but feel lack, the field reflects lack. When you speak of faith but vibrate in doubt, it reflects doubt. Manifestation doesn't happen when you say, I want to change, but when you are the energy of change. This is why the greatest act of power is aligning with the frequency of your future before it manifests. Living as if you already are that version of yourself who has transcended the loops. Feeling the certainty of the one who is already there, knowing the universe has no choice but to reflect who you are. This is your calling. Become the conscious observer who sees with love, without control, without fear. Each time you do, the quantum field gently curves to match your new vibration. You don't need to push reality. You only need to observe it from the consciousness that knows it is already complete. Take a moment to breathe and feel it. Feel the loop dissolving, repetition stopping, time expanding. Feel life responding to your new way of seeing. What you feel now isn't imagination. It's the field aligning with you. From here, the universe is no longer something that happens to you. It is something that